Gangrel, the Vampire Warrior. Hello and welcome to Give Me a Hole. Yeah, our podcast. I hope everyone in Yorkshire and beyond is having an awesome day. Keep fanging and banging.
Hello everyone, I said I'd be back later on this week at some point tonight, and you've got a double helping of me because straight after this I have got an unboxing to do, so we are going to see what swag we get shortly. But for the first hour we are going to be talking about Survivor Series WarGames. I have got Andy from Wrestling Royalty joining me very, very shortly. He's just setting himself up, but we've had Mark in already and Daz. So, yeah, we do want to wish everyone happy Thanksgiving. If you are in the USA, we have a lot of people following from across there, so we want to just send our best wishes to you guys. And Mark has put that WWE Hall of Famer Jimmy Hart is slated to appear at Saturday night's main event on December 14th. Nice. Big up, Daz. Yeah, Mark, welcoming Daz in. I've got Screen Shape Shop. That's hard to say very fast in one go. Hey, you're not Andy, but there's Andy, if you really want him. How are you doing?
Yeah, just ask and you shall receive.
Yes. It's almost
all
as good as
my friend. How are you? How are you?
Yeah, not bad at all, not bad. Keeping busy as always.
Good.
How have you been and what have you been up to?
I mean, we haven't spoke for a little while. It's nice to get all the different combinations of everyone in. So no, all good. Very busy training for my my marathon or my dopey challenge in January. So fitness wise is a big thing at the moment. So but yeah, the wrestling side, I'm eager to have a chat with you about because it's always good to hear different predictions and previews and stuff. But I know it's not on the card. But can I just start at the top of it? I'm very nervous / very excited about the New Day stuff that's going on right now.
100%. It is such a good tease because we was talking about it when doing Monday Night Raw. Is it teasing Big E coming back? Is it teasing Big E in any way? But it's just absolutely crazy. I'm surprised they haven't sort of tried to find a way to get them on the card to get even more eyes on them.
Yeah, I guess you want a reason to kind of go on to Raw, and they do this quite often with obviously like the mid cards. Normally, is the enticement of the day after a pay per view. They'll put a big Intercontinental title match on, or on the SmackDown before they'll put a US title on because it gives you something to kind of tune in for the weekly shows as well. Yes. But here we've got something completely different, something very fresh, and I say fresh. It's been 10 years in the making, and there's always been that kind of like some people have always hoped that they'll have a fight, and they've always addressed it saying like, why? There's this whole other roster of people to fight. Yeah. And now they're like, actually, you know what? We'll tease it a little bit, but I'm desperately hoping it's Big E because I think part of me would die if I saw the New Day split up. They're just one of those ones where they've been around for so long. Yeah. And if they didn't, that's a brave new world not having New Day together.
Yeah. I think they've done it very well. I mean, did you see the segment after the match where the cameramen followed Kofi and Xavier to the back? So well done. Yeah. And we was watching it live. I mean, Mark will back me up, Daz as well. It was at the point of, are they going to turn him tonight? Are they going to save it? Are they going to save it till, is it next week they're doing the New Day 10th anniversary celebration?
On Monday, yeah.
So be here on Monday because I will be covering Monday Night Raw for everyone. So we'll go through a few comments. Ye slacker, Sam. Back with us next week.
I'll believe it when I see it.
I know. Daz was asking Mark how AEW was, but he's not seen it. Is Ant back on Wednesday? We don't know. He should be. I think he's away this week, so he's a bit busy. Max thinking one of the three things will happen. Kofi turns, Big E announcement, return or retirement, or Woods turns. I mean, there's two of them that I don't want. There's one I really do want. Well, three I don't want, one I really do want.
Let me guess. I reckon you want the Woods turn.
I would prefer Kofi to turn.
Oh, okay.
Over Xavier Woods because I really like Xavier Woods at the minute, and I just think that having someone else turn on him would make it just a complete, not a swerve for swerve's sake, but I just think it'd be really exciting to have that story instead.
Yeah, but a big part of me, because I'm a massive fan of Up Down Down and like the work that Woods does like outside of his in ring persona, and he's like he loves his gaming, and all three of them are amazing in terms of like the charity work and things like that. I would love to see Woods actually get a bit of a championship run. Now I'm not saying that's the world title, but in terms of if he were to win a major title, surely there's not many stables that can claim more, or factions that can be put above them because they have held ridiculous amounts of tag team titles. Yes. 2 of them have had world titles. If Woods has had a King of the Ring, you know what I mean? So like it gets to the stage where
multiple IC titles, I think, as well, with Big E at some point.
Yeah. So it would be undeniable if Woods wins something, because you could always argue that the weakest member is kind of the one that you got to judge it by as to how seriously they were taken.
Yeah.
Now, I hope this is kind of leading where Big E comes back and he goes, you know what? Like, we need to support our brother. Like, he needs a bit of like the kind of shine here. And I'm fine with that, because just having Big E would be an absolute joy. Like, he's one of the nicest people in wrestling that you can ever speak to. And yeah, I'd love to see him back, but I think it suits the character of Woods being a heel more, because he's kind of steered into that the last few weeks, and I don't mind it. I don't mind it. So, but I get it. Kofi being heel will be different.
As Matt just says, it'd make more sense for Kofi, as the Woods heel turn would be too predictable. That's the only thing I think is they've teased it too much. Is that the obvious turn now? And then
it's still going to break your heart, though, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. You've got it going down on Monday. It's a must see.
Yes, it is. But I mean, we've got WarGames to talk about. That's why we've got the different colour background. I've got SmackDown colours, and he's got Raw, which doesn't make sense because I cover the opposite. Oh well. But we've got a load of cards. So yeah, Survivor Series WarGames. It's coming from Vancouver this year, which means it's an 11 p.m. UK start time.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Especially when I'm at work all day, Saturday and Sunday, I can get to bed at a reasonable 2:00-ish, I think, after.
I mean, anything's more reasonable than what used to be the days of 5 a.m. when they would finish. So,
yes.
Yeah, definitely.
And I mean, Max just put a couple of other little bits in. Whoever does turn has to attack Big E for the bigger heat. And I think that's a great shout.
Yeah.
We've never really seen a Kofi solo heel run. And again,
might be a reason for that, though.
Yeah, he's too likable, I think, as well. Same as you could never believe Big E is a heel anymore.
No, he's too jovial, I think, for that. Like, I think they managed to make him serious enough for his title reign, but I don't think you can make him serious enough to be a threatening heel. Well, I mean, he'd be threatening, but like, I think also with everything he's gone through, there's no way you can have a heel Big E. He broke his neck. He broke his freaking neck. And he's got to come back and be a heel. He could be a heel manager and like align with Woods. That would be kind of cool, like way to go. But it would be a shock, and that's what they have to steer into. But yeah, really excited. But I know we've got to speak about Survivor Series because there's a few matches to get into here as well.
There's 5 matches announced to the card. I mean, we want to be done by 10 o'clock because I've also got an unboxing to do. But how do you feel Triple H's 5 card shows have been?
Yeah, like I'm not one who wants to kind of just lump them all in together, because what personally my preference would be is if a card has to have 4 matches on because that's the 4 that you want to have on them, fine. If it calls to have 6 or 7 on, that's fine as well. But it can't be a rigid like 5 matches and never more, never less. Like you know what I mean? They should be flexible on that in terms of this one. I'm a little bit disappointed because I feel out of everything so far, Survivor Series, like I know people really hated the brand dominant side of things, but I loved Survivor Series when it was the big elimination tag team matches, and it would be the last, the sole survivor and things like that. And I think they went too heavy one way. Now they've gone too far away from it, and it's become War Games instead of Survivor Series. Because really, what on this card has anything to do with the original Survivor Series other than there being multi-men tag team match, but it's in War Games. So
nothing.
This one, they should have added in, and Dom would have loved it, the Wyatt Six versus the Final Testament, and have it as an elimination match, because I think it would have given them some gravitas in terms of what they're trying to do, because right now they're kind of just stuck on Raw. And some people I know for a fact only watch premium live events and they skim the rest of the weekly content. So you're not really giving those guys something to get their teeth into, because why should we care about the Wyatt Six or Final Testament if you're not caring enough to put them on a PLE card because you've only got 5 slots? That's what annoys me about that.
Yeah.
Being said, nice to have the mid cards on, but where's the tag team championships as well?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. No women's title match on there either, which, again, you've got 2 big women's champions, neither one being showcased. I know that they are both in the War Games match, so that does obviously make a difference.
Yeah.
But for me, I would have possibly had the Wyatt Six Final Testament in a War Games match and then have the Bloodline as an elimination match and have the last man standing as the tribal chief, if you like. Because I think that would have worked a little bit better in terms of you've got so many different dynamics that you could play with. But, I mean, we'll get to that one when we're talking about that match, if you like.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I completely agree with you, mate, because I hadn't even thought about it that way. Because at the end of the day, the War Game stuff is very gimmicky, and it kind of feels like they've put in so much work to make Hell in a Cell scary and intimidating.
Yeah.
And now they're like, you're going into an enclosed cage and things like that, and you've barely talked about War Games as a match type. So it kind of just feels like, throw a gimmick at it, and we can keep it going for a little while longer. Because let's face it, the Bloodline stuff is kicking its heels until Rock versus Roman somehow becomes a thing. But I'm sure we'll get into
actually gets booked.
Yeah. So, but the women's one, I don't really agree that the women's one needed to be a War Games match. Where did that come from? Never mind.
Scenescape Shop, I did it that time. 7 matches is the ideal. 5 matches all it takes for one dud match to destroy your energy and momentum. At least 7. They don't need to be too long. I think anywhere 6-7 is usually a good amount. I know probably with the Peacock stuff in the US at the minute, there is a sort of time scale on how many commercial breaks they need. So that might limit how long you can actually have between matches as well. So, yeah,
that should disappear with Netflix a bit more, because the reason why there's so many advert breaks is because Peacock offer a free tier or a very cheap tier where you get the adverts with it. So it'd be basically like having, I know Netflix has recently introduced on the sort of like lower tiers here where you get a 30-second ad break. So it'd be interesting when they move across to Netflix next year, how that affects it, because presumably until the Peacock deal is run, we're still going to get those stupid advert breaks. So roll on 2026 when it comes to getting rid of
them. Max saying PW Insider saying we could possibly be seeing Alexa Bliss return for Mania season, which would be exciting.
Bring back Bliss,
yeah. So first match of the card that I have put on, it's a match that I think has got some real potential. Bron Breakker, Sheamus, and Ludwig Kaiser fighting for the WWE Intercontinental Championship. Who do you think is going to win and why?
Well, I don't know if that's a question for me or the comments or both. But make sure you get in the comments who you're predicting as well, because I'm interested to see if people think there's even an outside chance that Bron Breakker might drop his title here, because you could accuse him, if he does, of being a bit of a flip-flop champion, because he's not really held it for too long. But Jey Uso kind of intercepted halfway through and had the title. But is this finally going to be Sheamus's moment? to have the Intercontinental Championship. We don't know how much longer he's going to be going for. Hopefully a little while longer. Or is, for some reason, the very blinky Ludwig Kaiser on that picture going to capture an Intercontinental Championship? I'm not sure. Can I just say, by the way, that spot on Raw where he hit his like gut, basically, his sternum or something straight in, that looked nasty. Really, really bad. But he seemed okay. I bet he was feeling that in the morning, though.
Yeah, I bet it was. It looks like he was winded there and then, or he should have been. But yeah, it looked nasty. It looked painful, and yeah, I reacted to it quite badly.
Yeah. No, I when I saw it in the morning, I was like, I wonder what Dan's reaction was. So I like just kind of skipped through. It's funny to kind of like see those moments, and then kind of like, like when Punk came back this time last year and stuff of watching your reaction. So it's interesting. But on this one, I think Bron's going to keep it. They normally have a triple threat for a reason, because they want someone to eat the pin and keep someone looking strong. So that could mean he could drop it, but I personally think this is going to be a Bron Breakker show dominance over two people who would make good IC champions. But
yeah,
I don't know. They need a little bit more work on Kaiser to kind of be able to do that. And is Survivor Series in this moment and the build that they've had, is this the moment they're going to give Sheamus it, or are they going to wait for a bigger stage like a Royal Rumble or a WrestleMania for that?
That's kind of sort of what I was thinking. I've liked Ludwig Kaiser for a while, and I think it's a shame that if he has been put in this match to take the pin, to keep Sheamus looking strong for a bit further down the line. But with a triple threat, you could have any combination. You could have Sheamus pinning Kaiser for the title. Bron might not even be involved.
Yeah.
And with the triple threats now, they are now no disqualification, aren't they? So you've got so many different potential options. And I think at some point we'll see a huge spear of some sort from Bron Breakker in the match.
Yeah.
As a spot rather than just a spear somewhere.
Yeah, definitely. The one thing I would say about Ludwig Kaiser is I kind of feel like you could put him in the Attitude Era and he would have been the kind of person who could hold the IC title back then, when you've got like the likes of Val Venus or someone like
Hardcore Holly.
who would have it. Yeah, like he's the kind of guy who would be a great mid-card champion. And I guess to an extent, if you want to push new faces and kind of elevate people up, this is a good opportunity for him to kind of get that rub, and like having a belt on him, like it's not the worst thing they could do. Like that's for sure. Like I don't hate any combination of these people winning in this match. So I don't think we can lose personally.
No. Like I said, I think it's out of the 5-match card. I think this is probably the third one, or the middle of the three, middle of the 5 that I'm sort of looking forward to.
Right.
There is another match that we'll get to in a second, which I think is going to be an absolute banger, but we'll get there in a second.
Yeah.
Mark's gone for Breakker. Daz has gone for Sheamus. Mark said it's too early for Breakker to drop the title this time, and he thinks Sheamus gets pinned. I think any combination of Kaiser pinning Breakker, Kaiser pinning Sheamus, or the other way for Sheamus, even Bron Breakker, there is potential for a story further down the line. And I think that you could give it to Sheamus, but again, like you said, if you are going to drop that title onto Sheamus, give him that Grand Slam championship, Grand Slam title, you want to do it on a big, big stage, I think.
Yeah, I think there needs to be a bit more jeopardy like behind it, because they didn't pull the trigger at when they were across, when he had his title shots at Clash at the Castle or at WrestleMania. And I kind of feel like the story I would personally tell with it is it becomes an obsession that he has to get this before he goes, to the point where WrestleMania time comes around and he says, you know what, if I can't do it, then I don't want to be here anymore. And he puts his career, it's a career versus title. And, most people go, oh, that means his career's over sort of thing. But have it that he does get that last moment.
Yeah.
Maybe go into a sort of Daniel Bryan of like, when he loses the title, that's when he'll walk away, or he doesn't even need to do that, but just have it so there's more jeopardy. So like make it abundantly clear that this is everything to him. And then that also builds up the IC title massively, because I don't know if anyone's ever put their career on the line for the IC title, and I would find that interesting.
Yeah, I think it'd work really well. Sheamus is someone that you could believe could hold the title for a long while as well. He's been world champion, he's been heavyweight champion, he's been WWE champion. So he is known for, he has held pretty much all the belts. So he has that believability where he could go up against pretty much anyone on the roster and you would back him to win.
Yeah, he's always got a chance.
Yeah, you could put him against someone like Seth Rollins and they could have a great match. You could put him against someone like Damian Priest, which we'll get to shortly, and it would still be a believable match. He had great matches against Gunther, and you was like, are they going to put the title on him? Are they not? And you just never know with someone like Sheamus. And I think having someone that versatile on the roster is, I bet Triple H absolutely loves it.
Yeah, and he's always going to be a safe pair of hands. Like, he doesn't take too many risks in the sense of like he's not going to do a swanton bomb onto a coffin or anything like that. You know what I mean? He's like, he'll do things that are believable, and he'll kind of like tap into that section of wrestling where it is just big meaty men slapping meat, and like, you know, like he has those kind of like more brutal matches, and there's always a place for that. Yeah, exactly.
So I did put a poll over on the YouTube page for the Gimme Hully Year. Bron Breakker and Sheamus both at 50% of likelihood to win, people think in the chat. So
50-50. That means 0% for Ludwig.
It is, yeah, at the minute.
Oh, okay.
Which is quite surprising because I thought more people probably would have gone for Bron Breakker.
Yeah.
I'll end that poll. Max saying Sheamus should only win the title at Mania. I think either Mania or SummerSlam maybe, but nowhere else I don't think.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got to be. I mean, I know Survivor Series is one of the traditional big four, or big five if you include Money in the Bank these days. But yeah, Survivor Series is kind of like the weakest one out of them all, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, I think the big four now. You take this out, you put Money in the Bank in.
Well, I mean, there's certainly more jeopardy behind it. This is why I could never understand. Like Survivor Series, they missed so many chances. Like people didn't like the brand split stuff that they did, and it was kind of like, well, why would they care? They had so many opportunities where they could have gone, right, well, the winner of the big 5v5 Raw versus SmackDown, the brand that wins gets the number 30 spot in the Royal Rumble, and we're going to have a tournament to see out of those five, whoever wins the most matches gets that number 30 slot. And it transitions you through to the next pay-per-view. Yeah. But they've kind of dodged that now, and then they're like, yeah, we're not doing that. And I also loved it when NXT was involved. That was a great year.
Brilliant year. Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if it comes back at some point in the future because the rosters are looking strong, especially the women's one. I always bang on about that for NXT, but that's 100%. For another day.
Because, I mean, if you wanted to do the brand warfare type stuff, they had a perfect premium live event, pay-per-view, whatever you want to call them, and the perfect name for it, bragging rights.
Yeah.
We got that 2 years, 2009, 2010, I think it was. Mm-hmm. And that is it. So if you wanted to do brand warfare, red v blue, you could use bragging rights for that and do it as a completely different show. And then you could use that to then forward the WrestleMania's Royal Rumble storyline.
Yeah, but unfortunately they don't hire us for the writing team. It's fine.
Paul Levesque, you know where we are. Come and grab us.
Every week.
So next match, this to me is the one that I'm probably most excited about.
Oh, okay. Right. I wasn't expecting that. I don't know why. I thought you were building to Gunther versus Damian Priest is the one you're excited for.
That one, not too bad, not too much, but this to me, with Nakamura coming back, I mean, that face paint that he's got on that graphic there, it looks so good.
Oh, I think it just looks like he's been in a fight down the big market in Newcastle, and he's he's just a bit bruised up at the moment. But I think it looks better on the show than it does on that graphic for me. But
yeah. But yeah, I mean, this one to me, I'll absolutely love watching Nakamura in the ring. Doesn't matter if he's going against Gunther, Punk, the Usos, don't make a difference. Nakamura to me just oozes charisma while in the ring, while performing, and that's one of the main reasons you'll put him in there with LA Knight. You've got charisma bouncing off charisma, so that's what making me excited.
Yeah,
but go for it. Oh, what do you think on this one?
It feels a bit rushed in the sense of like Nakamura's only been back 2 weeks, and it kind of feels like they've backed themselves into a bit of a corner here because there's a bit of a joke going on with Nakamura whether he ever actually wins feuds, because he always seems to be the one who talks a good game and he gets into their heads and he has these really great like vignettes and like things where he's backstage and saying, you know, like, I'm going to destroy you and like and things like this, but then never actually does it. And there is real jeopardy here that if he doesn't win the title, what are they doing? Because he's never going to be taken seriously in any kind of feud, because they use him because he is great in the ring and he has so much charisma in the ring and he's a great like stalwart for in-ring ability. But if you don't give him a win every now and again or a title win, the credibility soon disappears, and he's already there. This will just tip it over the edge. So the only way that they can get away from that is to have some sort of screwy DQ finish where actually he's not after the title, he just wants to destroy LA Knight and he doesn't care about the US Championship. I wouldn't be mad at that. No. But I think you've either got to get him to win or he's got to absolutely destroy LA Knight, ready for the next match that they have on whenever that's going to be. And maybe like a Rumble match or something. But yeah.
Yeah, I think LA Knight's title reign, do you think it's been a success?
I think it was a good palate cleanser after Logan Paul, who did a good job in the sense of getting eyes on it from outside WWE. This has been kind of turning it more into a workhorse kind of title where he puts an open challenge on, which is, you know, we've seen it with like Cena when he's had the belt and putting an open challenge on for it, which is good. It kind of follows in that vein. I think he's lacked a real nemesis or like someone to have a series of matches with, because obviously that open challenge thing doesn't lend itself massively to going down that route. So maybe Nakamura is the one, in the sense of like, you know, have it as a bit of back and forward. I wouldn't be angry if the belt gets dropped to Nakamura here, but equally, if LA Knight wins, it does legitimize him a little bit more. So I think this is a difficult one to call. I think this is more difficult than people might think at the beginning. So yeah, what do you reckon though? In your opinion, is there going to be a title change here?
I don't think there will be. I think there might be starting this as a more of a long-term feud and maybe put the title on him at the Royal Rumble.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I think you could build this one, because it has only been 2 weeks since Nakamura returned, as you said, build this up to a big stipulation at the Royal Rumble and then put the title on Nakamura.
What, like a Mountain Dew pitch black match?
Yeah, I'd take another one of them. Mark put bragging rights head was a McMahon idea to kill Survivor Series. I mean, Survivor Series is still going. Bragging rights isn't, so I think that's completely wrong.
WWE still going. Vince McMahon isn't.
Yep. LA Knight to retain, says Daz. Mark thinking Nakamura wins, so it's 50-50 booking there. Wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't win rivalry soon. He'll walk out the door. That I don't think he will, because I think he said in an interview a while back that he's done his wrestling, and this is his basically break and money earner now, isn't it?
Yeah, I've heard. I think I might have read the same sort of interview where I think he's actually just very happy to have a bit of an easy life. And I think he's now kind of very happy with the American life that he lives. And he's a surfer, isn't he? I think he just enjoys having his time to surf. And I think this new way of like doing things under Triple H, where the talent get a bit more time off, and it's more of a case of they'll actually, if you're needed, that's when you'll go, and if you're not, then you can kind of go back home. I mean, it's the same with what's it called, Gallows and Anderson.
Yeah,
they don't have to go because they've got nothing for them at the moment, so they just stay at home and get paid. It's a good deal if you ask me.
I'd take that all day long.
Yeah, so good on it. I mean, he's the career he's had. Like even now, he's going to be a Hall of Famer because he's won a Royal Rumble, he's won multiple mid card titles. Yes, he didn't win the championship, but I think he's going to be a legend. He'll definitely be inducted into the Hall of Fame. It would be nice if they can find a way to build his credibility back up so he could have a world title. I'd love that. Yeah. Like, I'm a massive Nakamura fan. His NXT days, I thought was best by far in America. Yes. If they can get him back to that, fantastic. But they've got a hell of a lot to do, possibly starting here.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I mean, his debut match in NXT against Sami Zayn, absolute perfection.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Sami said that they called all of that on the fly, which makes it even more incredible to when you go back and watch it.
Yeah. And he's, again, like, we're lucky enough that we get to interview like some of the superstars now and again. And I interviewed him when he, the weekend in Florida, when he won the NXT title off of, or did he lose it? When he was against Bobby Roode. Yeah. And I spoke to him there, and he tried his best to have like a full, just like English interview. And he had a translator on standby, and he never once asked for help. He gave it a go. And that to me always kind of shone through, like how nice a guy he is, that he would kind of take himself out of the comfort zone and do that. And I just thought it was very impressive. So I'll always have a soft spot for Nakamura because I just think he's a great guy.
So on that one, on the YouTube poll, that's 50-50 as well. LA Knight and Shinsuke Nakamura both on 50% of the votes.
Fence sitting tonight, guys.
Everyone's on the fence. I don't know if this one will have people on the fence, though. Gunther versus Damian Priest for the World Heavyweight Championship.
God, I'll tell you what, Dan, you give us your thoughts on this one first, because this is a proper Raw head-to-head. So I'll be interested to hear your thoughts, seeing them, the build for this week on week.
For me, I don't think it's had as good of a build as it probably could have done with the performers that are in there. Gunther has been absolutely on fire, as he always is. The promo that he had on the start of Raw was fantastic. Damian Priest came out afterwards and, again, really ramped it up where it did get me excited for the match. Would I take the title off him now? Definitely not. I would keep it on him until probably WrestleMania. Have someone else challenge him. Oh, you maybe want to build up. And for me, Chad Gable. I would actually have Chad Gable take it off him. Or, depending on what you are doing with the New Day, build that back in and then have one of them take it off him.
Some big shouts there, like.
I know. I like a big shout, but I've been known to get them every so often.
I'm not mad at it. I just have this train of thought. Is like, he had the NXT UK belt for a record amount of time, and then he had, he never really kind of hit the heights in NXT because he kind of skipped it over, really. But going into the main roster and having that IC title run, like as long as it was, and having that record-breaking title run, I feel like they've got this opportunity where everyone expects that he's going to keep it for ages.
Yeah. And
if they wanted to send some shockwaves through, then you would have him have a loss. And it was like, and it, again, you kind of need to build it where he's become overconfident, which I guess you've had in this, that whole one where he was just going to repeat the same spiel about like, you're a bum and like, to Damian Priest and like, you're a street trash or whatever. And then him cutting him off going like, it's the same thing all the time with you and stuff. like they're kind of saying he's getting predictable and that side of things. And I think here you either want him to come really close to losing it, as in like very close, or put in a really dominant display to remind everyone who he is and that he can like just dominate you at any time. I'm not a Damian Priest fan in the ring. I find him a bit boring. I don't get his cadence on the mic. Nothing kind of relates for me about him. I don't know what it is. There's something there that just kind of blocks me from fully investing in Damian Priest as the champion. I think he's a lovely guy. I think the Judgment Day stuff was fantastic for him, but unfortunately, for me personally, I think there's a ceiling, and I just don't see him as like the person in the company to kind of like carry that title. And the other interesting thing is they are putting this massive emphasis on the first episode of Raw on Netflix. Well, how about Gunther drops the title there? That would be the biggest talking point you could put on that show, is if he dropped the title on that Raw. So I don't see any world where he drops title here at Survivor Series though.
No, I don't. Gunther took the title off Priest back in SummerSlam.
Yeah.
So they have had previous for the title, but Priest winning a fatal 4-way to get the number one contendership, I think it's an easy out for WWE if they wanted to sort of keep the story going. But I don't think after this, Priest should be anywhere near the title picture for a little while.
Yeah. No, this is a placeholder match for me.
Yeah.
Like we need this match to get to the next one sort of thing. And it's, again, safe pair of hands. I'm sure they'll have a good match. I'm not denying that. I just don't see it being, there's no shocks here.
No.
I would like to see some sort of thing at the end where someone stakes their claim for Gunther and the title. So I wouldn't mind if at the end of this, someone then comes down and puts a bit of a beat down on Gunther. That would be fine by me as well. But I would just like to see something hint as to where we go next, rather than go right on to the next tournament or Fatal 4-Way.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely perfect. That's the best way, I think, for probably that match to end. And yeah, I can't fault it. Paul has finally got some. Pardon?
Put Dominic in that position.
Dom Mysterio, that'd do me. I'd love that. And have Dom take the title off him.
I'm not against it, to be honest. No. I think it would be hilarious. I think it would be really funny. I think it would be very Kurt Angle-esque, to be honest.
So we've finally got a decisive winner on the YouTube poll. Gunther at 75%, Priest at 25%.
Yeah, that's 25% too much for me, but fair enough.
Yeah. We've got Michael in. How are we doing? Scene Shapes Shop. Problem with this match is it is a placeholder. 20% of the Shauna match, that means nothing. Yeah. For me, it sounds very harsh, but this to me probably would be the toilet break match.
Yeah, and that's not good for the World Championship as well.
Definitely not. But it's a WarGames pay-per-view, so the first WarGames, you've got returning Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Naomi, Io Sky, and Bayley going up against the Judgment Day's Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, Nia Jax, Tiffany Stratton, Miss Money in the Bank, and Candice LeRae. For this one, there's been a couple of people returning. There's been a lot of sort of backing and forth, changing of people. But what do you think of these lineups?
I think there's a lot of emphasis put on the fact that NXT has a great women's roster. And I think this is a way to showcase as many women on the main roster as possible, to show you that it isn't just NXT. Like, main roster's got a lot going on for it. Do they know how to use them all properly at the same time? I'm not sure they do, but the introduction of the new mid-card belts, I think, is going to really do wonders for the women's roster. And I think they'll have to call some of the NXT girls up as well, which isn't a bad thing in any way, shape or form. But for this match in particular, I don't think it needed WarGames. I'm not convinced about some of the sort of rivalries they're putting here. But I also think it's a great way to showcase 10 very talented women in one match. And I think they need to do it because this might be an unpopular opinion. I think the booking of Rhea Ripley over the last year and a half has massively damaged the women's roster, especially on Raw, because they just made her like unbeatable unless you cheat.
So made her Superman-esque.
Yeah, like people complain about like Cena's booking or Roman Reigns' booking at times. Like her booking has been every bit as like poor, really, in my opinion, because it's been very short-sighted as to what it does to the rest of the roster. However, that being said, I think they're doing a good job of rehabilitating Io Sky and her reputation over the last like couple of months. I think Tiffany Stratton, there's always that kind of big clamour for when she's going to cash in. Would love her to cash in on one of the champions tonight, on Saturday. Sorry, that would be amazing. And I really love seeing Candice LeRae being included because she is very much slept on in this roster because I guess she's a bit of a journeyman because she's done a lot of, or journeywoman as it was, she's done a lot on the indie scene for years. Got an all right amount of kind of shine in NXT, but now it's her time to kind of like show the world what you can do. And being included here, I think, is sort of akin to like Shotzi when she was in there and people gave her a little bit of time to kind of come out of the shadows a little bit more. So last year, Shotzi was the big one. Hopefully Candice LeRae can have a sort of similar showing. But this is a difficult one to call, by the way, whether it's heels or faces who go over here, because you've got you've got two champions on the heel side, but you've got very dominant people on the faces. So I don't know if I could call this one, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going back all the way. Just had a look all the way from Royal Rumble last year. In 76 matches, Rhea has only lost 5. So that does show the level of booking that she's had.
Yeah. And I'd be interested to see those 5 that she's lost. Did she lose them clean?
It doesn't say on Cage Match.
Yeah. And by clean, I mean, like, she might have eaten a pin, but did she take that pin after some tomfoolery on the outside, or or was it a DQ or that side of things? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know is the answer to that. I just have a feeling that I bet you can maybe have one of those as clean.
Yeah, I mean, one of them was Rey Mysterio and Zelina Vega beating the Judgment Day's Dominic Mysterio and Rhea Ripley back in May last year.
So that's a tag match, not a singles match.
Yep. And that's kind of what it was being like the full time is Rhea defeats. Back in NXT, Dragon Lee and Lyra Valkyria defeated the Judgment Day, Dom Mysterio and Rhea Ripley again.
Yeah, I bet I'd put money on that being that Dom took the pin in that.
Yep. Where was the other ones? But yeah, they're that few and far between. Monday Night Raw, Liv and Raquel Rodriguez beat Rhea and Tiffany Stratton. That went to a no contest.
Yep.
So yeah, it's been very minimal in terms of losses for Rhea in the past 2 years, pretty much. For me, as you sort of alluded to earlier on, Tiffany Stratton could be a big game changer in this match with that Money in the Bank briefcase. And I think, could you see her challenge Liv for the title after the match is finished? Or do you think Liv could be the one to turn it against Nia Jax? There's a lot of different things that I think could happen.
Well, I've said it on last week on the Friday feature when we were just kind of covering the War Games. So if you want to hear us, me and Sam talk about the War Games matches in a little bit more detail as well, we spoke about that on Friday. And one of the scenarios I posed was, how much fun would it be if mid-match she cashes in mid-match, wins the belt, and then just jumps over the side? Because they make a big thing about War Games ends if anyone escapes the cage. So could Tiffany Stratton pin Nia Jax and then basically just haul ass to get out of there, and she just like leaves the cage and kind of costs them that way? Because that way you get a title swap, the heels lose, the faces look strong because they've done that, and it's kind of a fun, different way that they've never done on War Games before. Well, since it's been in WWE. So you kind of feel like if that rule's there, it should be there for a reason. So at some point they need to cash in on it. Well, here's your chance, because to me, that's carnage. Just let her win, and Nia Jax like be basically trapped because she can't throw herself up that high to get out of the cage.
Yeah, I mean, Max put in Tiffy should take the case, use the thing as a weapon for the match.
Mm-hmm.
If she's not starting the match, which I don't think she will, have her walk into the cage with the briefcase, set it aside, and make a big point of it, of where it is, right in front of a referee somewhere. But yeah, I think that would be a good way to do it.
Well, have her as the last one in, as in like she's the last one, and she's obviously been holding on to it the whole time. So,
Max saying have her cash in, but have her fail to escape, so she's maybe got the wrath of Nia Jax while the WarGames match is still going on.
Yeah, I mean, they could have that moment where she's tried to escape and she then gets stuck in the middle, that middle section where it's joined together. And then she's got all the faces staring at her, and then all the heels like going like, "What the hell are you doing?" So
that'd be good fun.
Yeah.
Whether she starts or not, she'd be stupid not to take it in. Yeah, I agree, Mark, completely. And the last match, which we presume this match is starting, do you think?
What,
this match opens the show?
Yes. So this one, I thought you meant as in the last match would be the first match would be the men's. I was like, what? No, the women's one should open. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the games match should, we presume, end. We've got Roman Reigns, the Usos, CM Punk, and Sami Zayn, with they're calling them the Bloodline still. Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, Tama Tonga, Tonga Lower, and an honorary Uso for the night, Bronson Reed.
Big Bronson Reed.
And I could not find a match graphic with CM Punk and Bronson Reed on, so I've had to go with that one, which looks like it's 4-on-4, but it's not. It is 5-on-5, as Paul Heyman alluded to on SmackDown last week.
Yes. Yeah. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this one. What do you think about the addition of CM Punk?
I did see a video a little while back about there was something going on with the Bloodline, and Paul Heyman asks CM Punk a favour.
Yes.
And it was to save me, or take me with you. I think it was the line that Paul Heyman used.
Yeah.
So this is Paul Heyman then cashing in that favour and getting Punk back.
Yeah. It was when I think Paul Heyman was addressing the crowd and Roman wasn't there, and then the Bloodline came out, and then they were kind of at the side, and then CM Punk came out, and he said, "Can you do me a favor?" He was like, "What?" And he said, "Take me with you." And then I think they escaped narrowly, like a big beatdown. But I've seen that clip going around. It's clever that they've kind of pulled everything together.
Yeah. But there's also been a lot of people speculating about Paul Heyman wasn't wearing his normal shirt. He was wearing a red T-shirt, which it's sort of reminiscent of the other. Is it the other fella?
Well, he looked. It's exactly what Solo's worn in the past as well, with the sort of black jacket with the red shirt and like red T-shirt underneath it, and it was quite strikingly different for Paul Heyman. But I also noticed that he dyed his hair black and he had a bit of a tan, and like he's a big. He kind of believes that like if he's playing the part of. He's really worried about Roman, and he's run down. He should have bags under his eyes, and he should have grey hair, and he should look a little bit unkempt with the stubble and stuff like that. Whereas now he's like, "Oh, I'm well rested, and like I'm top of the world because I've got two of my boys with me." So I don't know. Like maybe there is something to it, or maybe it's just a bit of a new look and it's a coincidence. But things happen for a reason normally.
If Triple H is booking, I don't take anything for granted anymore, I don't think. Everything is either on screen or in the background for a very good reason. So I think that would probably be... I mean, Max put it's 100% a red herring. We shall see. But Scene Shape Shop has put...
Just say Dean. It's Dean.
Dean. Okay, Dean. Don't make it so complicated for me. Seth takes out Bronson Reed backstage, who is replaced with The Rock. It is Survivor Series after all. Rock's pay-per-view. Rock versus Punk. Wow. Would only be better if Heyman had brought Brock instead of Punk. What if you can't get The Rock and you put the B in front of it and you have Brock come out instead? Brock versus Punk, and you've got Roman, all three Paul Heyman guys?
Well, one would be on the wrong side, I guess. Well, it depends what you say by right and wrong, but yeah. The only way, I don't know, because there's pictures being circulated at the moment of The Rock in full live action Moana garb as Maui. I don't know when that was shot or taken, so I don't know what his schedule is like to fit in. If he's just doing an appearance, he might be all right. But yeah, he's definitely
expects Dwayne to be there as he's filmed Moana 2.
Yeah, well, yeah, but they're doing the live action one, because that was the one where you've seen him on the beach in kind of like in the live action version. I don't know where they're filming that. I presume it's probably Hawaii, or Samoa or somewhere. But they are not easy places to get someone back for a short amount of time. Like, he doesn't have to get physical. I mean, in Dean's he would, but they brought him out at the end of, was it Bad Blood, where he did the sort of like thing, and people are saying that might be him signaling 3 strikes, and that's Roman's 3rd strike was teaming up with Cody and things like that. So I'd be disappointed if they don't at least allude to maybe Rock being in charge of this bloodline. But I also just think that the big star here is going to be Jacob Fatu. I think this is going to be his massive moment of like just battering everything in sight. And I wouldn't be against Paul Heyman being his manager. I think that would be a cool combination of keeping him quiet and off the mic and giving him Paul Heyman and put the trust in him in that way. But I'd also I'm looking at going Jacob Fatu versus Roman, Jacob Fatu versus Jey Uso, Jacob versus Sami, and then I go, CM Punk versus Jacob Fatu. Yes, please.
I know. Jacob Fatu versus pretty much anyone on the roster for me. The pop that he got when Jacob Fatu faced off against Bronson Reed on, I think it was
Bron Breakker as well.
Bron Breakker. That was absolute mouth-watering stuff, and I kind of want the Bloodline stuff to be over and done with, so we get some of these singles matches.
Yeah,
but I'm still enjoying the Bloodline stuff, but I just don't invest everything into it, probably like I did 18 months ago before Cody won the title.
Yeah, I think it was easier to kind of see the linear story that they were telling back then, and now it's a case of there's a few I guess if we knew it was heading for a Rock versus Roman, it would make you a little bit more excited to go we know we're going to get there. Now we can just enjoy how we get there. But right now it's what if we don't get that, and what are we doing here? So it's kind of you get stuck to it. I'll enjoy it, but what's the point? And that it's definitely going somewhere. But it would be nice to have at least a tease of where we're going properly now. That's just maybe that's me, and other people seem to be really enjoying it still. But I don't know, Solo pretending playing dress up as the tribal chief. I'm kind of done with it now. I don't really see longevity in it. Again, even with the guys, and you can even see on this, they're at the back and kind of looking away from the camera. Tama and Tonga, they're just nothing. What are they doing? What are we doing with them?
Yeah, it doesn't feel like they are part of the story, even though they are completely involved in it. They just feel like a big outskirts part.
Yeah, just make the numbers up.
Yeah, you could take them out and not many people would really miss them.
No, it's like those latter days of the NWO where you'd be are they part of the NWO, are they? It's you want to avoid that because you don't want it to kind of spread too large, because it's got to mean something to be part of the bloodline. So again, I wouldn't mind them having a big show here, give them something to do where they look strong, or they take kind of big bumps of people that are at least talking about them. Because the worst thing is if people aren't talking about you in wrestling, you're not doing your job properly.
Yeah. But yeah, for the full match, though, we haven't actually said who do you think will win.
If it is this 5 versus this 5, I think old Bloodline has to win. Because the way they booked it, you can't have the old Bloodline unless there's a turn or something. But if you ask me just straight in a match, like who's going to win this one as it stands, I think you've got to have Roman win it. I think it has to be Roman who wins it as well, not anyone else.
Yeah, I think Punk kind of feels like he's been thrown in there, one, to make up a bit of numbers, but two, to give him a big star for the match. Because you don't realistically see anyone else in the Bloodline 2.0 winning the match. But, I mean, Solo pinned Roman clean previously.
Yeah, and this is the thing. If for some reason The Rock is involved, then I get why it would make sense if Solo wins again. But if he's not, it doesn't make sense. So it's kind of all dependent on what happens on the night and who's there. I think the other reason why potentially CM Punk's been introduced into this kind of like storyline is I think it's throwing it forward to what comes next and out of this. And I think there will be something between Roman and CM Punk. Yes, I do. I think something will happen. There'll be a showdown between CM Punk and that. I also think, quite frankly, Seth Rollins is going to get involved some way in this match, whether it's before or during.
Crazy crossbody off the top to Bronson Reed.
Possibly, very possibly, yeah.
But I think that's it. I have got another stream starting in about 2 minutes. So I want to get sorted. I'm technically already sorted right there. I just realised I flashed the SAD with my address on towards the camera, so I had to flip it quickly.
It was quick. I'm sure someone can screenshot if they really needed to. So, send some nice things to Dan.
Send me some nice things for Christmas. Yeah. But again, as always, Andy, thanks for coming on. We can find you over on Wrestling Royalty. That's on X, Twitter, whichever you want, and over on YouTube. And are you doing a feature tomorrow night?
No, we were going to do a preview, but I thought it'd be nice to join you and do this sort of preview prediction in one. That's our Thursday night feature tonight. I hope you've enjoyed it and get a different voice. We'll be back on. I think we'll be back on next Friday, and we will probably be talking about a little bit about the fallout from Survivor Series, but mainly we're going to be talking about the women's mid-card belts and whether they're a good idea. Like, what do we think is going to happen with them, and are they going to be a good or a bad thing?
Yep, thank you very much. Thanks to everyone that has joined in the chat. And if you want to see what swag I did get in my Pro Wrestling Crate, click over onto our YouTube page, because I'll be over on there in a second as well. So again, as always, thank you very much for joining us, Andy. We shall see you over on Wrestling Royalty next week, and you shall see me over on Gimme Hullier's Pro Wrestling Crate unboxing in about a minute's time. See you shortly.
This is Big E from the New Day. Give me that Hull, yeah. Give it to me. I need it.